Hi. Today I'm going to talk about one of the things that we find is really useful in building a mobile application. So in Bravo, we're obviously involved in a lot of processes around building applications and trying to make them build them as quickly and as easy as possible. And what we find is doing some work up front can really help make everything much better, and it can also help you parallelize the work. You can get other people to work on things, and it also gives you a way of documenting what you've built and why you've done it, so that other people can come into the project and see what's happening. Now these are fairly standard things, but the reason I'm talking about them today is because with the latest version of ChatGPT, you can actually automate some of this process. Now, I will say as a caveat, this isn't something I recommend just to take what it gives you and use it. It's very much a first draft. It helps you think about part of the project, the pieces you need to do, and it helps you get a feeling for what needs to be done so that you can then maybe edit it and then have a conversation about what happens. But certainly producing some of these sorts of pieces of work can really make the development process much easier. So I'm going to talk about three areas where I think having it documented is really helpful. The first one is user stories. So a user story is often when you're building a product, to think about a particular part of the workflow of using your product, what needs to happen for that workflow. So for example, a login screen would have user stories as a user. I want to be able to log in, or I want to be able to enter my username. So it really helps you think about exactly the functionality you have, and when you're building an application, it helps you focus on that particular part of the workflow to make sure all of the actions are recorded and present. Someone might put in design like an icon, like someone's face, and it might be that in the actual application you want clicking on their face goes to their profile, but maybe you don't want to do that. Just having the icon there doesn't necessarily help you understand what's necessary there. So the user story helps you make concretely understand what the actions are. The second one is the database schema. So when you build an application, obviously you need to have the data stored in a database so that you're able to store it permanently. But how that's set up can be quite involved, and it's not always obvious all the different details you need to have, particularly the relations between the different tables in a database. So again, having something like that generated to help you really understand and think about the sort of data you need to have and how it could be stored. The third one is the actual API endpoints. So when you're building an application, you'll need to query the database using an API, way of communicating with that backend database, and knowing exactly the sort of types of API endpoints that you have, or particularly having them defined, again helps the communication work really well, helps other people share in the project, and helps you also remember what you did when you come back to it. Again, I wouldn't say this is definitive in terms of what it can generate, but it's a super helpful starting point in how you build things up and start to document what needs to happen. Now, as part of Bravo, we've actually created some GPTs to do this work for you from screenshots using the latest 4.0 model, and these are really, and I'll include links to this as part of the video and description below, and hopefully using these you can really see how you can start to document what you're doing in terms of your application, and it can simplify the process of working with other people, and it's something that we try and use ourselves to help us really plan things out. I'd love to hear about how people use these tools and if there are any suggestions to improve them, but I just wanted to show them today. So the first one I'll talk about is the user stories one.